Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Saturday. Let's chat for a moment. Ever since Loki came into my life last September, I've been gravitating closer and closer to the orbit of Norse spirituality, just in general. And a few months ago, I began saying on this channel that come the autumn, there was going to be changes in my video content, and that things would gradually become more and more centered on the Norse and the Germanic gods, and that I would be sharing how my personal studies are progressing through time. Now the moment is here. No longer am I just casually investigating, flirting with ideas, and getting acquainted with concepts. Things have kicked into high gear, and I'm taking a more disciplined and consistent approach. And even a cursory investigation reveals some of the various ideas within Norse paganism and the major controversies, and there are sources I now trust and other sources that I would not dream of taking seriously. And a year from now, I will probably have even more opinions, tentative conclusions, better questions, and even more avenues that will be in need of exploration. So it's getting real, and there's no telling what sort of changes will take place throughout this journey. But it isn't the unknown that's been giving me those nervous butterflies. It's the things that I know are coming that I'm not necessarily looking forward to. And I just wanted to share a few examples with you. The first one is that it is an unfortunate fact that some pagans read mythology and they interpret it in oversimplified terms, almost as if they're reading a comic book where there are the good guys and they are easily distinguished from the baddies. And I think this kind of thinking is a consequence of coming out of Abrahamic religious traditions in which the narrative was just centered on this good versus evil. There was nothing outside of it. And it's also a consequence of comic books themselves and superhero movies that follow a very similar pattern. It's very difficult to hear people out and to listen to their line of reasoning when it's built on this worldview, because it taints their impressions, and they tend to reject other possibilities because it doesn't fit the narrative inside their head and they can't see outside of it. Nevertheless, as part of my due diligence, there is a certain amount of that kind of thing that I will have to endure, and I will have to give their perspectives actual consideration. I mean, it's very easy and it's very tempting sometimes to just dismiss anyone who you happen to disagree with. It's much, much harder to hear the person out, find out if they have a point, and just give them credit where credit is due. Now, the second item on my list is the reality that Loki is not universally popular amongst Norse pagans. And now, as certain as I am that he's been misrepresented, misunderstood, there are pagans out there who are equally certain that he is just as awful as advertised, if not actively worse. Now, right, wrong, it doesn't matter. People have deep-rooted convictions, and those are not going to change just because it would make life easier for me, or because I think I have a stronger argument and personal experience that definitely and definitively, as far as I'm concerned, contradicts their views. They're not going to change. It's just not going to happen. And that means I will be reading books, blogs, articles, and watching videos that will be absolutely trashing Loki whenever the subject of him comes up. It means that as a Loki devotee, that I will be listening to accusations that worship of him is actually motivated by a romanticized view of a Marvel movie character. It means that there are some Norse pagans who will essentially consider someone like me to be the pagan equivalent of a devil worshiper. This will not be pleasant, and I know it's coming. Here's the thing. Loki isn't going to let me off the hook. He has been actively nudging me at every opportunity to hear what people have to say and to not let their opinions of him stop me from benefiting from the information that they've gotten right. People have been wrong about him for centuries, if not millennia, and I'm getting the impression that he would like me to put my emotional hypersensitivity to one side and just deal with it. And then the third item on my list is that there are two extremes I've already come across and I will be coming into much closer contact with, and I bet you can guess what I'm about to reference. It's the extreme of not taking the lore seriously at all and just making things up as you go along, And then the other extreme that turns Norse paganism into a sterile academic exercise that requires 50 pages of attestation from historians, anthropologists, archaeologists, linguists, and other experts in order to take a single step. There are no words to describe how infuriating I find both of these extremes. And I know both sides are just knee-jerk reactions of the other, and the cycle keeps on continuing, both sides gaining fuel and fury from their opposite number. But you know what both of these sides lack? Wisdom. All of Norse pagan spirituality revolves around wisdom, the pursuit of it, the practice of it. Wisdom is at its core, it's the heart. And even as a complete greenhorn into Norse paganism, that much I know. So, yes, this abandonment of wisdom in favor of a detached from reality imagination or in favor of a never ending list of footnotes, it's a problem. It makes people look silly and that they're not worth taking seriously. And personally, I believe that it's past time for paganism of all sorts to actually claim a place of respectability in the world. And in order for that to happen, we need to emulate our ancestors and earn a reputation of exercising practical wisdom, of having solid philosophy, and being very sensible in our spiritual approach. Now, despite all of my qualms and the reality that it would be the easiest thing in the world to just operate quietly in the background, to never engage, and just keep my views and my practices secret. Plenty of people do, and they actually think that's wise. They consider themselves very smart for doing that. They think that is preferable and a better way of being. But that is not what Loki is asking me to do. And over the past year, he has been extremely patient with me. He's allowed me all the time I've needed to get comfortable with him, to learn how to recognize his nudges and to act upon them. And now it's time to emerge from that cocoon and deal with some of the challenges of that will be involved with learning more and allowing my spiritual practice to evolve and taking that big step and getting acquainted with the rest of the gods. Now, will Loki be there as I go along? Absolutely. Will he tell me that if it gets hard, I can just quit or retreat from the field? Most doubtful. Loki hasn't been a deity who's shown himself to be inclined to just be holding all of my faults and foibles against me. But if I just lost my nerve and I chose the easy path because it was easy and I didn't remain true to my own convictions, that would be a problem. So we'll see how things go. I have a feeling that Loki is going to be speaking especially loudly over the next few months. I'm excited about it. I'm a little apprehensive because this journey will probably reveal all manner of character flaws that I'll need to work on, and I'll discover that some of my ideas perhaps were not wholly aligned with what is, and so I'll have to change because we all know how fun that is. But nevertheless, I know this is the right path for me to take. I know this is where spiritual home is, and I know that I am very, very lucky to have Loki in my corner. So stay tuned for further updates. In the meantime, let me know about your own impressions in the comments section, or click on the link in the description box to join our gilded group. It's called Blackbird's Brew. I have an entire channel devoted to Norse Germanic paganism. So if you would like to have a conversation with me there about Loki or anything else on this subject, I would absolutely love that. So I hope you will join us soon. But in the meantime, that will do it for this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.